Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, it's Thursday morning again, and I think this week has just gone crazy. Goodness me, this week has just flown by. To those who know, my wife is still not back in New Zealand. She's actually stuck in South Africa. She was supposed to be flying out a few hours ago already, but she'll only be flying out 11 o'clock tonight in South African time. So yeah, somewhere along the line, Qantas has again got it wrong and has delayed the flights. Presumably, somebody that had to work did not come to work, and I probably believe it would be the pilot, because it's rather unfortunate that those planes can't fly without the pilots these days. But probably one day it will happen. So yeah, that's just a few thoughts on where the wife is, and my mother-in-law is also coming with us. So I've had a nice ribbon tied around the broom. I will deliver that tomorrow to her when I pick them up from the airport. So I haven't got the faintest idea even when they will be arriving tomorrow. So this is a bit of an uncertainty for me on the one part, and an uncertainty for them. She's stuck on John Smith's with a very low cell phone, so she can't put that on. She can't tell us if they are getting away earlier or later. It looks like they're only leaving tonight at 11. So good morning to Tia, and good morning to everybody else who's saying morning. We're still limited to the amount of pages we can broadcast to. Facebook has, in their infinite wisdom, decided to limit broadcast on their pages, and so we are stuck with only being able to broadcast, I think, on one or two pages, plus as well on YouTube. YouTube is quite a new one for us, so yeah. All right. So if you can't see us on the other pages, we'll post this a bit later on those pages. But this morning, I want to talk about working in New Zealand, and most probably about working in New Zealand and the problems that I see people have when they come to New Zealand, or the problems they have when they apply for jobs more. I've just had a few posts that we posted last night, and I had a few people sending me certain remarks regarding the post and positions and requests and things. And one thing about South Africans is we are one of those nations that, the Afrikaans word is maak 'n plan. So we always try to make a plan, even if we can't do the job. So this is the one thing that I see often, and I've heard a few Kiwis complain about this as well. The complaint was the following. They say, you South Africans, you think you can do everything, and then you arrive and you can't do certain things that you said you could do, but you will try and sort that out as well. So that's just the way that we are. And I think, and I want to use the word desperation in between brackets. I think we are desperate to get a job, that we are even willing to produce a white lie regarding this and say we can do that and that specifics on those jobs, and then when we arrive we really can't do that. I know a few guys have been sent back with that. So if you are applying for a job, guys, see that you can really do the job and that you have some experience in doing the job, not only book learning. I think that experience is probably the most important thing for anybody, and getting experience in a specific field takes time, unfortunately. If you've just done your course or whatever you need to do for this specific job, and you can't just walk into a job tomorrow, you need, or a job in New Zealand tomorrow, because they are expecting you to be able to do everything like crazy. It's not that they will give you time to learn or put you on a learning curve this side or so. A few other things I've seen. Oh, sorry. One of the other things that I've seen that somebody sent me a message about is they said they've got no experience in this, so they were quite frank about that. But they said they are good learners. It's great, but these type of jobs, you can't be a good learner. You need to be able to pop in and do the job. That's why it's called a job. It's your job. So also good morning to everybody else on the other side. I see there's more people popping on that channel. So good morning, Vanita, Ilana, and so forth. So that's just my thoughts on getting a job done here. The other main thing I see that gets done, and which is wrong, point one, I see a lot of CVs. And please note, I'm not a recruiter. Let me put up what I really do. I'm actually a financial advisor. People think I'm a recruiter. People think I I do immigration, those type of things. It's not me, guys. I don't do immigration. I think they change the rules too often for me to even find out what's happening down there. So, but yeah, I do finance, I do insurance, those type of things. One of the problems I see on CVs is people like to put a lot of their South African stuff on there. They put their address there, they put the ID number here. Remember, the Kiwis don't understand the ID number at all. We've got driver's license and it's got a number on that. That's my type of ID or identification number in New Zealand. Your ID number in South Africa has got nothing to do with New Zealand. Your address in South Africa has got nothing to do with New Zealand. There's a system called, I think it's ATS, Automatic Tracking Software, or Applicant Tracking Software. If I'm right, I talk under correction now. That software gets rid of those CVs even before they reach a human hand. So keep that in mind. That's the way that your CV will go if your CV has got some of these things on that identify you as still being in South Africa. When a company say they are willing to give you a token, or when they say they're willing to help you to get New Zealand, or they are willing to help you with your visa application, that means they are willing to take foreigners, people from outside of New Zealand in. And that is when it becomes also important not to have too many of your South African stuff on there, except if you are directly dealing with them. Then you can have your South African telephone number and so forth on. Otherwise, run through email addresses. That's probably just the best way to go. That is one of the problems I see with people arriving down here. The other problem is that once people are here, they hop around and they try and look for something better, something more, something paying more. They don't give themselves the chance to settle in. It's so important for you to arrive at your new destination and arrive at your new job and give yourself to settle in. I know you are not going to be happy with everybody working there. And I've had many jobs in my life, and I can promise you, at every job, there was someone, or more than someone, that irritated the living daylights out of me. But you just have to stick through that. You have to go through that. And eventually, sometimes that person who irritated you could become your best friend. But they won't probably be your best friend from day one. You have to sacrifice a bit. You have to stick out. You have to give it a chance just to get through this whole thing, and just give yourself a chance to adapt to the way that they do business down here and the way that they want you to work for them. That is rather important. That also is one of the things that New Zealanders love about South Africans, is sometimes the guys that stick with a job. I know guys in here that have been working for the same place for 4 or 5 years. The sad part about this is sometimes the raises that these people get is not that high. But I've also known about other guys that while working for the same place, they got really good increases in their pay. So I think it's a matter of sometimes just going and speaking to the people and saying, oh, life has become more expensive. I need a bit more money. So, and if you're a real good worker, they'll know the price that they can pay for you, and they know what it will cost them to get another one like you. And that's probably where they'll come to a compromise and say, let's pay the guy a bit more. Let's do this more. So I just want to go back to what Vanita is saying. Vanita is saying, make sure you work out the cost of living based on your income. Money isn't going too far these days. That's the one thing. Especially some employers wants to pay the minimum and get the most. And that's one of the drawbacks. They want to pay the least amount of money for the most amount of work that they can get out of somebody. But luckily, not all employers are like that. You also got to be open-minded to what the industry is where you are in. If you are expecting to get $45 an hour in an industry that's only paying 28, you've got to be realistic regarding that. If you come in at too high price, you probably ain't going to get the job as well. The other thing is if you come in with zero experience, for instance, then you can't also demand a massive pay or salary per hour. If you have good experience, then probably you could put your foot down and say, I cannot go lower than X amount, and you probably get that. Just make sure that in the industry standard, you're not way above the industry standard. So Vanita saying employers get frustrated. Vanita is a immigration advisor, so I think she's got a few ideas of what employers do get by. But she says employers get frustrated when they support people to come to NZ and they leave to another employer, and that is like that. I would, without talking about immigration, once you've reached the point for I'm coming to New Zealand, that is a period of time, and that employer has got to be without you for that period of time. So he's got to be able to wait for you for 3-4 months, perhaps sometimes even longer. And now you just arrive, and a month down the line, now you want to pop over to somebody else. Yeah, I think he will take you a long while before he employs somebody from South Africa again. That is just my thoughts. Don't close the door for the people coming after you. Try and keep those doors open, guys. Try and keep those doors open. Benita is saying it also takes a minimum of 6 weeks for a job check and 6 weeks for AEWV. I think that's the visa. So she's saying, yeah, that's a 3-month wait. So that's a 3-month wait, at least just for the job check and the visa. And nothing you can do about it, and nothing the employer can do about it. But just keep in mind, once you are here, give your best, do your best, and work hard. I mean, that's one thing that I think South Africans can do. And that's another complaint I've got from the Kiwis. They say we South Africans, we work too hard. Okay. So yeah, that was actually the complaint that I got from was a Kiwi in IT. And I don't know how you can work too hard in IT. It's not like it's a physical job. You can just work as fast as you can type, but he reckons South Africans are working him. He said they're working him to death. So yeah, that was an IT guy saying that to me. So Monica also saying, before you sign a job offer, get some advice. There's a big difference between collective agreement and individual employment agreement. Yeah, that's interesting. And it's something to do with the unions. I know if it's a union thing, then your chances to get more money is rather not that well. But if it's an individual contract with the owner, you can change the contracts going forward. But I know union contract, the union sets that up, and you got to stick to the union rules, even if you are getting less money than the industry standard. So, yeah, that was just something that was quite interesting that I've heard the other day regarding unions. They sometimes get better deals between brackets for the guys, like they'll get health insurance, but not normally the highest pay in that region. So think about what you join and where you are in your process of signing agreements, and probably get somebody like Vanita in to speak to, or a labor broker or somebody like that. I'm always just wondering if these guys that call themselves labor brokers are always doing the best for their clients, or is they only doing the best for what they think the employer would like the most out of the group of people. So that's really important to get yourself a good one. Another thing that I saw on CVs is the length of the CV. Guys, you are boring people if you put everything on. I've actually listened to a podcast, was it on Monday or so, that I listened to this podcast about somebody who does CVs professionally in New Zealand, a Kiwi specifically. He was a Kiwi and he writes CVs. He's got a CV company. I'm not going to name him now, but he said the following. He said, a CV over 2 pages long is too long. You got to bring it down to 2 pages. He said anything before, or he said anything longer than the last 10 years, any work you've done longer than 10 years ago, except if it's really relevant to where you are now, don't even put that on there. So he also said to do the following. If you are applying for a position, point one, if it asks for a specific position, put your specific work experience in there. Don't put anything else. If you were a truck driver, but you're applying for a carpenter position, put your carpenter's experience in there. Don't say you were a truck driver as well. What's that going to do? It's not going to give you a better chance at getting this job. It's just one of those things. Or don't tell them you were the head boy or the head girl from the school or something like that to this, or the library prefect. I know people were library prefects in my time, and but yeah, I was just too naughty at school to be a prefect or any symbol of hope for anybody coming after me. So I think we've reached that part of the morning. I want to do a random draw for our cruise competition. So we've got 275, I think. Is that 275? Yeah, so far it's 275 people who have sent us their details for the cruise competition. And let's draw two of them this morning. We draw number 18 on the random thing. I think go back to the top. Get number 18 there. Number 18 will be, oh, Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas, let me just write that down. So, Mike Thomas, this morning, you're in the draw for the cruise, my mate. And number 34 would be Charles Drummer. So these two people have been chosen to go forward and become the applicants for the two cabins we have available on our ship. We are cruising from Auckland all the way up to Russell, and then we're stepping off the boat there. We'll have 4 nights of fun on this vessel. So yeah, that is the real ocean liner cruises like you see that pops into the harbors always. We're getting one of those. We've got 2 cabins, one inside and one outside. So our first prize will be for the outside cabin, and our second prize will be the inside cabin. And I'm going with you guys just to see that you keep yourselves, that you don't burn the boat down. Okay, so let's step back to getting employment in New Zealand. Relevant employment or relevant experience is so important, but sometimes they don't align 100% with the job that you want to do. And then you can get some, I don't have the right word for that. You get some of your experience that could be brought over to the new position, and that will qualify you to be in that position. But it has got to be relevant to the two. It has to be relevant to the two. So I know some guys build certain things in South Africa. You can't get those things to be built in New Zealand, but the fact that they could build or that they manage people or certain of that experience of them could be pulled over to the new type of position. But you have to put that out there in your CV, or you have to put that out there in your cover letter. Somewhere along the line, somebody has to read that and see, oh, whoa, this guy can actually do this because of this, and this. If you just chuck your CV out there, it's not going to work. I actually had somebody who sent me a thing last week saying they applied for 400 positions. Remember this? They applied for 400 positions. They basically got the same generic answer back from every one of them. And one of the things that was wrong on their CV was the fact that they had a lot of South African information in there. So whoever was, or whatever software was seeing that CV, was seeing the same CV at the same time and just hitting reject. So you can sit for hours and hours and hours and send CVs like crazy. It's not going to bring you anywhere. You have to be very specific. You have to be very careful of what you send and how you send it. And I mean, if you really want the job, do a lot of trouble with your CV. Do a lot of that cover letter, or go and look at the job. See, they want this, and this, and rewrite your CV that it fills those gaps that they say they have. You've got to be the answer to their problem. They've got this thing. They've got the problem. They need a person that can do this. And if your CV say you can't do any of those, why would they even think about you? Why? This is not a charity. Let's be quite frank about that. They would want to see, oh, whoa, this guy can do this that we need, and can do that, and can do that, and can do that. So would be nice to say, I can only do this, but he can't do that. Oh, but he was head girl or headmaster or whatever else. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Get back to the fact that what you are now, how can you apply that in New Zealand? How can that job be the one that you are applying for? How can that job be the same as what you're doing now? And how can you add value? That's a big thing. How can you add value? If I have to bring somebody over from South Africa, how are they going to help me in my business? That would be my main concern the whole time, to be quite frank. How will that person be able to help me in my business? And the fact that they could do weird things outside of my business, it's not going to help me at all. I don't care if you can do 5 handstands at the same time. Why should I care about that? But I would need him to do X, Y, and Z. If he can't do that and can do a ton of other stuff, he's useless to me. The CV will just go, whoop, by the way. So the biggest drawback, I think, for anybody is that applicant tracking software, as I said previously, that is a problem. That throws you out even before anybody can see you. So if your stuff aren't written the way that the ad is reading, then you aren't going to arrive here at all. Bonita just saying, make sure you have your LinkedIn profile updated. Recruiters look at this. Jobs are also advertised on Seek, JobSpace, TradeMe, LinkedIn, company websites, and we've got a page on our one website that also runs jobs from places where that's not Seek or not LinkedIn or not JobSpace. We draw our jobs from various other offers that are out there. We draw that in. The one problem with our jobs is not all of them is accredited companies. And unfortunately, we can't take the time to go and see if every job is an accredited company. But I mean, it doesn't stop you from applying for that position. Even if it's not an accredited company, that company can get accredited. People like Vanita is helping companies all the time to get accredited. And it's not that a massive job for them to do that. But there is certain rules and regulations, and they need to conform to these rules and regulations. And these days, it's not that easy. In the past, let me say, 10 years ago, you could pick up your suitcase and arrive in New Zealand and say, I want to become, let me become a construction worker. And you could walk in and get a job like that. But these days, it's not like that anymore. Things have really changed. And I actually think, and I know people are complaining about the change, but I'm actually thinking it's changes for the better. It gives us a better society. It gives us a more direction. It gives people the chance to get the job that they can do or that they really can do in New Zealand. So in the past, you could come in and be anything. Now you got to be in that line. You got to be in that tier. And then the most important thing, and this is not immigration advice, guys. I would say this to anybody. If you come to New Zealand, or if you think you're coming to New Zealand, come with the right way to get residence. There's different ways. I don't know how many ways. There's different ways to get residence. But make sure you are one of those ways to get residence. They are not going to have a sympathy residence visa at the end of the day and say, oh, you've been here for 2 years. Now go and get residence. They are going to send you home. If you haven't done it right, they are going to say goodbye, leave the country. So come with the right way, come on the way that you can get residence at the end of the day, and make sure your advisor knows exactly what they are talking about. There is some questions being asked about certain advisors on our pages, and it's good that people ask these questions. Are these good advisors? I mean, it's important to know that a good advisor can have you or give you the right advice and see that you stay at the end of the day. It's rather important that you get the right advice from the first minute, onwards. You need to have advice that will take you to residence, and residence leads to citizenship at the end of the day. That is where we are heading. We're not here to, or let me rather say, don't come to New Zealand on a work visa. Don't come to New Zealand on a work visa only and think you are going to make money. This country is expensive. If you come that way, you are probably not going to make money. It's probably better to go and work in Dubai or the UAE or somewhere else where you can fly in and fly out, something like that. But if you are coming to New Zealand, you have to keep resident status in mind. And without resident status, you are going to go back. And I see too many people are just hoping for any job and just want to get out. And I do understand where you guys come from. I do understand you want to leave South Africa. That I fully understand. So don't get me wrong that I'm unsympathetic towards that. But yeah, you got to do it right, guys. Really, you got to do it right. And if you don't know who to speak to me. I'll see that you get a good immigration person, or at least a good immigration person, just to talk to. Sometimes those immigration persons have to say to you, no, you can't come on these type of things. And it's sometimes needed that you listen to them and realize, wow, what you are doing now won't bring you to New Zealand, won't bring you into residence. And that means you could probably change your job, move into something else, Ask that advisor, ask them, what will bring me into New Zealand? Where is the shortages these days? And it could be that something is popping up. What you can do, or you just need a small course or something that will bring you into line in doing those type of jobs. So just keep that in mind. But he's just saying that Australia is also reducing immigration numbers or migration numbers. I've seen that, and it's interesting what Australia is asking now, or the type of jobs that they've got open now. They're actually now looking for policemen, but they are looking for New Zealand policemen, and they want to fast track them into Australia. So that's quite interesting. The different, how can I say, the shortages in Australia at this current stage. That's quite interesting. But yeah, eventually they will have to reduce their migration numbers. It has become, I think, also unsustainable for them. And the process to go to Australia looks to me, it's a much longer process than the New Zealand one. I know about somebody who's already more than a year into the process to go to Australia for their visas and the way that they do that, and they haven't had any answers yet. Vanita saying those people with young adult children needs to consider their options for these children. It's tough for them. Yeah, it's always tough for the kids, but it's tough for the adults as well. And I don't want to go into. Let's not go into that field now. It is 7:28. Yep, it's 2 minutes. I'm picking up my wife tomorrow morning somewhere, hopefully when Qantas delivers her to New Zealand. So far, they're still stuck in Jan Smuts, or I don't know what Jan Smuts these days. They change all the names all the time. But most of you will understand where Jan Smuts is. So yeah. All right, guys and girls, that was me. Thanks for listening to me for 2 weeks without the wife, but she'll be back. So Mariska will be back next Thursday, and we'll have her on to tell us about how she saw South Africa. She didn't go to a lot of places. She just flew in and flew out, basically. But I want to talk to her a bit about the prices and those type of things. All right, so that's me, and for the probably last time that I'm on my own. So see you all next time, same place,